Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we return to talking about the video game The Last of Us Part 2. A lot of exciting stories have been coming out about this upcoming game and we've been catching up with most of it, but actually in the last week there's been a lot of new other developments. We first covered some of the leaks from the beginning of this drama and then some responses to those leaks, which included a lot of people canceling their pre-orders and getting fed up with it. Basically the story was revealed to be a very progressive driven, girl-led, feminist kind of propaganda stuff, and it turned a lot of people off. Not only for that either, there's a lot of that SJW stuff in there, but also in general, people just didn't like the story. There was a lot of unexpected deaths, unearned respect for some characters, and disrespect for some characters that we liked, but we're not here to talk about much of that either. We've got spoiler videos and other stuff you can look at from previous links. Check those out below. But today we're talking about the new developments in the story. Basically, after all those leaks came out, many people made videos, and recently the game company and Sony decided to start striking down people's content. This is very scary because I know I had a few videos up about it. I almost thought about taking them down, but I ended up being okay, thank God. Hopefully this video doesn't jinx me, but I did want to show some support for the other creators who had some troubles. I know I saw Geeks and Gamers and a few other ones getting these strikes because they talked about Last of Us, and all these videos were fair use, by the way. There was no reason to get a strike. These people were just talking about things, possibly showing some images, but very little video footage was even used. And basically this is a cover-up operation. Naughty Dog is the company who made the game under Sony's ownership, and they're just trying to hide this story. They don't want any videos out about it. They don't want to get all this bad press, so they're striking a lot of videos. And I even heard they've been using some third-party companies to strike people from multiple accounts, which is very, very upsetting, very shady, because I think a lot of us agree, especially YouTubers who've been around for a while, copyrights are lame. Copyright striking anything is pretty brutal. I mean, there are some cases where it's valid, like if, say, you post a whole movie or an episode of a show, or possibly even just half an episode of a show, too much content is understandable, but none of these cases are ever anything like that. The problems we're talking about are when people copyright strike you for showing a picture for 3 seconds, or maybe a 5-second clip of a song that really should be fair use too, but nowadays you can't use clips from movies. You can't use popular music. I used to use movie clips sometimes, but that's been kicked out. No more. Even clips from popular YouTubers or popular network YouTubers can get you striked a lot. So it's a very scary world we're living in, and these companies take advantage of that. That's how Naughty Dog and Sony got even more backlash about this story. So they kind of doubled down and got themselves in more trouble by striking people improperly. Then things got even more interesting when gaming companies announced a new reason that the leak happened. Most people believed it was a disgruntled employee, and I think a lot of people still believe that, but Naughty Dog and Sony came out with the excuse that it was a server error, like someone hacked their server and cracked into their company's website or something. And honestly, I think that's unbelievable. It doesn't sound reasonable at all, because the stuff that leaked was like many gigabytes of video footage and straight up gameplay, scenes from the game, all the movie points, like the in-game movie and the plot points, and it would be like gigs and gigs of data. It'd be someone kind of downloading hundreds of gigabytes at least for all this stuff to get out of their server. So it's definitely possible, but I think this excuse is questionable because it makes you think, which is worse, having a disgruntled employee leak your stuff, or having your servers be so weak someone could download hundreds of gigs of footage? I mean, that's a big thing right there. That's a security problem. People in their company could have lost their identity or something. They lost millions of dollars because of this product theft, this IP kind of theft, and it just isn't the best excuse. But I think the point is, and the reason they're doing this is because they don't want people to think it was a disgruntled employee, because that excuse is even worse. And that excuse is just, it shows that Naughty Dog isn't paying their people right. They were supposed to get bonus pay, but they couldn't get it until the game released, and then when it got delayed, they had to have this whole thing. That's a whole other part of the story, but first let me show you this clip, because you can see in this image, someone collected all these tweets where all the mainstream kind of shill video game media is falling in line with this new story. They're going to go and support Naughty Dog. They want to get review copies of games in the future. They're trying to suck up to the corporations like Sony. So all of these people are tweeting in support saying the leak came from a hack, basically, instead of the disgruntled employee. And it just kind of seems like more of a cover up here. It's like they're all getting the marching orders. There's some secret chat they're all in saying, hey, we're all tweeting about this. We're covering up the story. And I think a lot of people just aren't buying it. It's not as feasible. And we also have proof to the other side of the story. So it really makes you think, is this true? I mean, I'm not sure we can really have evidence of either way. We're not going to, I don't know if I want to take Naughty Dog's word for it, though. These Sony companies are more about the bottom line. They'll easily try and lie and cover up. And this is a big problem too. I mean, this is a big mess up. The leaks already came out and it was a bad problem for them. So I can see why they might want to try to reframe the narrative. And all these gaming companies, I think we see, I'm not sure, it's like Kotaku, IGN, Tweak, CNET, they're all falling right in line. Yes, next we've got a Reddit post to go over. This is from the Reddit of The Last of Us 2, and this is the reason revealed why disgruntled employee leaked The Last of Us 2. It comes from a post that was 9 hours ago. It's pretty recent, and I think this is the more believable story, so let's read through a bit and go through it. Everyone please read and repost this on Reddit and Twitter. A source that works at Naughty Dog revealed recently why the leaks happened. The reason was indeed a pay dispute, but that is not the whole story. Hundreds of furloughed staff had approached Naughty Dog to ask for an advance of the post-release bonus they are contractually obligated to receive. A common industry practice is to underpay workers during production and promise them huge bonus 6 months after the game's release. The better the game sells, the higher the bonus. Some employees had already made plans for this bonus, plan a wedding, buy a house, send kids to college, etc. When the game was delayed indefinitely, all those plans went out the window. Okay, so this goes back to the original disgruntled employee excuse. This is a post with some supposed insider knowledge. I don't know if we can necessarily trust that, so take this one with a grain of salt too, but it definitely sounds more feasible, and this is in line with what we hear about video game practices. This is a problem we talked about when the leaks first happened, and basically, these video game companies, they overwork their employees. They do this thing they call crunch, which means they make them work really hard during the production, specifically towards the end, long nights and weekends, staying at the office 24/7, just making sure your work gets done, and they put all the pressure on their kind of middle-level employees, while the executives make all the big money and they're taking vacations and time off. But these other guys who are the programmers, the testers, the mid-level guys, they have to deal with all this drama. I mean, it's really hard to crunch. It's a terrible work situation. Granted, all these people working on games do get paid well too, but to postpone your pay and use this whole bonus to tangle in front of you, it is a little troublesome. I mean, I'd rather just get paid a solid thing every week and have my paycheck come than have to wait for some big bonus. Now, I'm sure there's advantages to that too, like the bonus will be bigger if you could just wait longer, but there's also a risk that you don't get it, or they could try to lay you off or keep it away from you too. So I don't know if I would trust a company like this, but maybe these people do, maybe others don't. But it's understandable that a disgruntled employee would come out with this footage, and it makes a lot more sense than their new excuse, since, someone inside having the access to the dev kit, to the example version of the game, being able to record that and all that stuff, that makes a lot more sense than some person hacking their server and coming in and downloading all these gigs. Some employees were hoping to use their bonus to weather the virus storm and provide for their families. Naughty Dog flat out refused the request to advance them even a portion of their future bonus. The insider says the employee was told that his contract stated he would be paid out 6 months after the game release, or not at all. The employee was threatened with termination for making the request. The studio was worried more employees would demand their bonuses now if they gave this one employee his bonus early. To add insult to injury, senior staff, including Neil Druckmann, asked for and received their bonus early. This pissed off the majority of employees at Naughty Dog. Whew, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. This Neil Druckmann guy is the one that's leading things there. He's in charge of The Last of Us, and he's one of the one guys that's become a big problem, apparently. He's become this sort of SJW guy. We went over another video how he directly admitted to being influenced by a major SJW, Anita Sarkeesian, who does that whole feminist frequency, calling everything sexist in video games. And this Neil Druckmann guy, although he had a lightning in the bottle when he made The Last of Us, everyone still likes that first game, but The Last of Us 2 has completely fallen apart, turned into a total mess, and it's mostly because of this Neil guy. He pushed out other former staff at Naughty Dog who we previously enjoyed in making games like Uncharted, but they're gone now. Those fun days are over, and now we're with the super serious, super leftist, super propaganda pushing Last of Us 2, which seems like it's already going to be a disaster. I don't see how they can recover from this, even if they cover up the story. But this also goes back to show how the senior staff are getting treated better. Neil Druckmann got his bonus early, and he's probably already a multimillionaire after making something like The Last of Us, so he's on the higher level, and they're treating them better. And this goes to show how the lower level employees are getting pushed and crunched and overworked, and they don't get as much pay, and then they get this whole bonus thing going on, and it's a real mess, man. And it's sad to see, because these companies have a lot of money. I mean, these video game makers are definitely racking in millions and millions. Naughty Dog's been at it for decades. I've been playing their games since all the way back in Crash Bandicoot days in the 90s, so it's sad to see that they've come this far and started to fail after so long. They've had a great storied career. I've loved their games, including, again, Crash Bandicoot. Jak and Daxter was their next series. That was really cool. Later on, I started playing Uncharted, and now The Last of Us is their new series, their latest one. And again, the first one was cool. The second one is looking like it's not going to be so cool. It's very upsetting, and it's very chilling to see them treat their employees this way when they have so much money at their hands. They could pay their employees well. They could have them have the weekends off. They could extend their release dates and do things right, but they just get influenced, and this is like California culture too. Remember, this is a studio centered in Southern California where they just kind of treat these people crappy, even though they pretend to be these progressives who care about everyone. Their stories is acting like they're SJWs fighting for social justice, but then at the same time they're treating their own people like crap. No wonder it was leaked. But it's again, the leak is illegal, and I'm not trying to encourage anything like that to happen. No one should be encouraging breaking of laws or NDAs, but in this situation you do see the justification, and it makes some sense. Now, with that said, I'm pretty happy to see all this happen, because it's been making for some fun videos. Some really ridiculous premises came out of those Last of Us leaks. An exciting saga, I think, almost coming to an end here. I think we'll still have some follow-ups too, because we're going to maybe talk about some more stories as they develop. I want to see what happens when the game actually comes out. So if you guys like this content, if you want to support this channel and us talking about The Last of Us 2, make sure you hit like. Let's get a lot of likes on this video. Maybe say, let's try if we can get to 4,000 likes, and then I'll make another Last of Us video. And in addition, comment your thoughts on everything below. Tell me what you think about this story, what you think about Naughty Dog. Which of these two premises do you think is more likely? Was it the person that's a disgruntled employee that leaked it, or do you think it was a hack that happened to their server? Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks again for watching No Bullshit. Until next time, we'll see you guys on the other side.